I've spent over 900 hours of my life learning Czech, and I haven't regretted a single minute of it. It's been great so far. I've learned a lot, and not only about the language. About 15 months ago, I set out to learn Czech, and I made a pretty detailed plan for myself, which you can see in my first Czech update video. And I've stuck to that plan pretty exactly. I'm only about 4 days behind schedule from what I said 15 months ago. And 3 of those days were a deliberate choice because I was on vacation and wanted to push things a few days back just to not overwhelm myself. I'm flexible like that. Go with the flow, you know? But I don't want to talk about my Czech learning past. I want to focus where I am now and what I'm looking forward to in the future at 1,000 hours. Because that's when I'm going to start finally speaking and outputting in Czech, which I'm excited for. I know about 90% of words in beginner podcasts, I can watch and enjoy YouTube and TV shows pretty easily, and I even know about 60% of words in some novels written for adults. Other novels are a little bit lower, but let's not go there. But the most important thing is that I'm able to crosstalk with natives relatively fluidly and easily on a bunch of different topics with only a few misunderstandings here and there. And not only in Czech, but also in Slovak, which is a very related language to Czech, but it just looks and sounds a bit different. Imagine if American English and Australian English were considered different languages and written differently. That's about the same difference between Czech and Slovak. Like I said, I'm feeling really good about my current level and wouldn't change much about what I've done because it's been a really good and relatively easy ride so far. But the big milestone that I'm approaching is 1,000 hours, which is when I said that I'm going to start outputting, kind of regardless if I'm ready or not. I do feel like I'm going to be ready, but we'll see. I'm specifically going to be focusing on what we call the 4 qualities of output. And these are the different dimensions or qualities that you need to improve to be a good outputter. The first one is comfort, then accuracy, then automaticity, and then finally capability. Comfort is just being comfortable with the language and not feeling like a total idiot. It's really hard to improve any of the other things if you hardly can make the right sounds and feel just super awkward. So the very first part of my output journey will just be trying to get over that hump of being weird so that I can focus on all of the other things. The second one is accuracy, which is being able to use the language in a way that native speakers would expect and think sounds natural. You don't really want to be going around saying, "Me name are Ben," because that just doesn't sound good and people would probably understand you but also think that you're 4, which doesn't work if you're 6'3". So when working on accuracy, you want to finally hone in on your mistakes and try to fix them. And I'll make a ton of mistakes, especially if I'm not really trying to fix them for the first 50 hours or so. Once you're comfortable and fairly accurate, you're still going to make some mistakes, that's when you should move on to automaticity, which is basically making both of those things automatic and easy. You do them without thinking and you just sound comfortable and natural in the language without any real thought. And then you can focus on your capability, which is being able to do those things over a wide range of different themes and topics. Just because you can do everyday grocery shopping or even go to the doctor doesn't mean that you can talk about the novel you read or your favorite kinds of TV shows. All those different things are going to take practice, so practicing in different domains and learning new vocab is going to be important for improving your abilities with the language. I'm going to be focusing on those in the future though. Before I walk you through my plan for personally working on those 4 things, I want to talk a little bit about what I'm doing now. In the case of the first thing, I've been doing it for a couple months, which is focusing pretty heavily on my listening. Being able to process the language with your ears and brain automatically and quickly is very important for being able to have a conversation without forcing your conversation partner to constantly write things down just so you can see them. And I'm especially comfortable with basic conversational listening. The other thing that I've started a few days ago is called chorusing. I have a full tutorial video on it that you can look at below, but here's a quick clip of what it looks like. Essentially, I take a couple of seconds of audio and do it along with the speaker to build up my comfort moving my mouth at the right speed, using the intonation, and that sort of thing. Quick clarification, chorusing is not output. Neither is something like reading aloud. Output is when you actually take your thoughts and put them into the language, creating something new. Just copying what you see or hear can be considered output priming or potentially output practice, but it's not output itself. Besides chorusing, I'm really only saying sentences that I come across that are kind of interesting, whether I'm reading, doing Anki, or just in my TV show. I might repeat things that I find interesting. Not constantly and not with any specific goal, just trying to get comfortable saying specific sentences with specific patterns and that sort of thing. All right, and on to my plan for outputting, which is much more concrete. I think I said this in my first video, but every single day, starting from 1,000 hours, I'm going to be outputting for at least an hour. The first 50 days, I'm focusing on comfort, like I said. And I'm just going to be getting in as many conversations as I can, trying to just speak and share my thoughts and talk to people. My plan is to get into 4 or 5 tutoring sessions per week for about 45 minutes each, and just speak my mind a little bit and have conversations, you know? In those extra 15 minutes that I have that I'm not in a session, I'll be just speaking to camera, probably not even recording, just talking to myself to the camera to practice that fluidity. And then on the days without sessions, I'm going to practice my writing, or really my typing, because I actually want to be an okay typer in Czech, but they use a very different keyboard. It looks like this. You'll notice that there's an entire extra row of keys that you have to get used to instead of the numbers. And so my plan is to just sit down and type stuff out for 15 minutes a day, probably twice, and then continue with my talk to camera, practice speaking, vlog sort of thingy. Again, not really doing corrections yet, just trying to get stuff out there. And during that time, I'll still be inputting, probably keeping it to doing my Anki reviews, reading a little bit, and watching YouTube or a TV show to relax. The second chunk of 50 days is when I'll focus more on my accuracy. I'll bring down the tutoring sessions a little bit, maybe 3 or 4 sessions per week, still the 45 minutes, but I'm going to be focusing on corrected writing, which is where ahead of time I write something, so that'll be on the other days, and then I bring that writing in to then read aloud to my tutor and have them correct speaking mistakes or writing mistakes, really anything that comes up in that session. Corrected writing is fantastic because it helps you train pretty much every different part of output. And then in my other time, I want to continue doing that talk to camera, just practice speaking thing, but this time record it and then run it through Whisper and then eventually ChatGPT to find the errors that I might not have noticed, and then potentially record it a second time to practice saying the right thing. But we'll see how that goes. That covers the first 100 days. So I'm not going to make any promises for beyond that because that's like forever away. But what I think is going to happen in those next 100 days is I'm going to try a technique that I saw a while ago that I'm really interested in. It's called the 10 by 10, by 10 by 10, which I think was originally come up with by Language Lords on his YouTube channel. Essentially what you do is you take 10 YouTube videos, all about 10 minutes each, and then you watch them and then speak your own version for 10 minutes, kind of summarizing what you heard and listened to. And then you do that with the entire playlist 10 whole times. So 10 by 10 by 10 by 10. That's a lot. If you do exactly 10 minutes for each thing, that's still over 30 hours total for one exercise. But the idea is to really heavily focus on some specific things to make sure that you can really use the words and vocab of those specific videos and be comfortable speaking about them. Because the base of all languages is really the same thing, just with different moving parts. This exercise trains your accuracy, automaticity, and capability, so we'll see how it goes. All of the other input and output that I do in this time is going to be pretty much all the stuff that I said before, trying to keep it pretty chill so I can focus on this. I hope to finish this entire exercise in that second batch of 100 days, and I'm going to be making videos on the entire thing, so make sure you're subscribed to see how that goes. After that, I'm only going to have 1 more month before I go to the Czech Republic. During that month, I'm going to be doing a sprint and outputting for 2 hours every single day, trying to just get a bunch of practice in before I go. I'm not positive what I'm going to do, but I think it's going to involve lots of tutoring sessions and focusing on specific made-up scenarios that might happen while I'm there. Okay, I think that's enough for this video. Thank you so much for watching and getting all the way here. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. I do read all of them. Let me know what you're planning to do for output, what you're already doing for output. If you have any tips or personal experience, I'm curious to know. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and the next one of these videos that I do, I'll be speaking Czech. Oh, and as always, happy immersing. I don't really know how you want to edit that. That feels really kind of awkward. But that's just how we do it. I think that went pretty well.